Hey guys, and welcome to another Animal Crossing video. I'm Crossing Channel, and recently we got an amazing collaboration in Animal Crossing New Horizons, which of course was for Sanrio. It brought us a whole bunch of new items, clothes to wear, and even new characters that we can invite to our island. However, what you might not know is this wasn't the first major collaboration in Animal Crossing. In fact, we saw quite a few in the previous Animal Crossing game. So in this video, I want to discuss what the next major collaboration could be in Animal Crossing New Horizons, what items and characters we might see, and more. So if you're excited for this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on channel notifications for more Animal Crossing videos. So, like I mentioned, we did get this really cool Sanrio collaboration, and this actually came from Animal Crossing New Leaf, the Welcome Amiibo update. That was the very first time that we saw the Sanrio stuff, and of course the Sanrio cards were introduced, so it was a cool way of kind of Nintendo working with Sanrio, a brand that, you know, is actually kind of similar to Animal Crossing in many ways, and it definitely fits very well in the Animal Crossing universe. However, there was another brand that Nintendo collaborated with quite a lot in the previous game that I definitely think is going to come to Animal Crossing New Horizons sometime in the near future. That is, of course, 7-Eleven. Now, this was mainly for the Japanese 7-Eleven. I do know that 7-Eleven does appear around the world. We don't have one here, but I know it's a big thing in Japan. And so this was kind of more like a Japanese exclusive collaboration where players could get downloadable 7-Eleven content like these items and this character that you see on screen. This was pretty cool because it allowed you to basically make your own 7-Eleven in your game, you know, your own really cool supermarkets with all these different shelves and signs, and there were a bunch of different food items as well. There was a little checkout, so it was just really neat, and you know, these items were kind of given out to players downloadably each month, and then later on when we got the Welcome Amiibo update, this new character was introduced and brought us even more. So this character is Philly, and you might not recognize Philly, which makes sense because Philly is basically a Japanese only character who was just a downloadable character that you could get if you're in Japan, I believe. So Philly basically is just there to promote the 7-Eleven brand. You couldn't actually move Philly into your town back in that game. Philly was just a character to basically help get you the items, which is kind of a shame because I think Philly's pretty cool, you know. Philly has definitely an interesting design. And they actually appeared in 2 Animal Crossing games already. The first was Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, where you could sort of bring in Philly and design their home in that game with 7-Eleven items. And then in Animal Crossing Welcome Amiibo, which they were basically a downloadable character where if you downloaded the data, I believe you would get their RV to come visit your campsite, and from that RV you could actually purchase the 7-Eleven items that Philly had on display. So that was definitely a neat way of getting those items. It's kind of similar in Animal Crossing New Horizons where when you scan in the Sanrio cards you unlock all the items. So I do imagine the the 7-Eleven items would probably be unlocked by the same way, you know, you would get them via the promotional tab. Now speaking of those items, there were a ton. Now one thing that you'll probably notice is in the English version of the game, they're actually called 24-hour shop banners because I guess a lot of places around the world don't have a 7-Eleven, so that's just what they're called. I mean, it makes sense, even though the bottom sign literally says 7-Eleven on it. It was just really neat. These items were kind of hard to get a hold of, I will say, because basically, if you were in Japan, it was quite easy to get them, I believe. You could just download them and then get them off Philly or whoever. But then, if you didn't live in Japan, you'd kind of have to trade with other players if you wanted to get a hold of them. So personally, I didn't really have any of these items, but I always really wanted them. And I remember them selling for a lot in that previous Animal Crossing game because there were just so many really cool ones like you can see on screen. And it was just a really great way of kind of making your own little supermarket in the game. And there were also a ton of different food ones, I believe, as well. You know, it makes sense for 7-Eleven. So it would be really great to see these items actually come back, and we could get another collaboration in Animal Crossing New Horizons. With this one, you wouldn't even need to buy any amiibo cards if you wanted the items, so I definitely would really like to see that. And I think, even though this was Japanese exclusive in New Leaf, I don't think it would be in Animal Crossing New Horizons because they've kind of opened stuff up to the entire world in this game. You know, events aren't region locked anymore and content doesn't seem to be region locked. So I definitely think it'd be something that we would see worldwide, which would definitely be a welcome change. I'd love to be able to get a hold of these items a little bit easier than it was in the previous games. And so yeah, I definitely think we could see this 7-Eleven collaboration happen, and especially all these items, if not Philly, return to the game sometime soon. Now 7-Eleven has actually been promoting Animal Crossing New Horizons quite recently as well, even promoting one of the updates that we got recently. So I do think it would make a lot of sense if 7-Eleven were to kind of go out there and promote Animal Crossing's new update, which included some 7-Eleven items. Again, it's not the most kind of exciting collaboration unless you're like a die-hard 7-Eleven fan, but I always think it's good when brands work with Animal Crossing because then we get a bunch of new items to enjoy, and these are some really cool new items as well, so it would be great to get a hold of them in the game. And if 7-Eleven is still promoting Animal Crossing, then I definitely think it's possible we could see that collaboration happen again. A lot of brands actually use Animal Crossing New Horizons as a way to promote themselves, like KFC had their own island and Twitter had an island, so it definitely would make sense for Nintendo to work with these brands and get content within the game, which would kind of benefit them, but then also benefit us the players, since we could get some new items and maybe characters to enjoy it as well. There actually was another collaboration which a lot of people forget about in the previous game, and this was for a Japanese stationery company. I can't quite remember the name, but I remember the hamster's name who represents the brand. This is Holden the hamster, and Holden once again could not come and actually live on your island or in your town or whatever, but you know, you could get all these different items from Holden, which are of course completely based on the mascot and the brand. So it's a bit on the nose. I mean, all these items are very specifically themed. You know, the 7-Eleven could kind of work a bit more in different circumstances, as could the Sanrio stuff. This one is very overtly for the brand, but you know what, that's not such a bad thing. I always think it's good to get more items in the game, and the previous Animal Crossing game, New Leaf, just had a ton, so I really think we need to see more items like this come to the game, so we have more content to enjoy. It would be really great, and I think there's just so much potential for brands and companies that Nintendo could collaborate with, so perhaps 7-Eleven and maybe even this could be the next major collaboration that we see in Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think it'd make a lot of sense. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below if there are any companies that you think Nintendo should actually collaborate with Animal Crossing New Horizons. The game has been out for over a year now, so I think it's time they started bringing more brands in so they can sort of use that to promote the game in a way. I definitely think it's a good idea, and we benefit, like I said, because we get a whole bunch of different items from it. So I'd love for you guys to let me know what kinds of, you know, companies and brands and franchises could work with Animal Crossing. I think Pokemon would be a great one, for example. And if you made it to the end of the video, be sure to comment Bob's Gang down below so I know you watched all the way through. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to help support my channel, click the join button or the link in the description to become a channel member. You can learn more there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to subscribe and turn on channel notifications for more Animal Crossing content. You can check out my links and my merch in the video description, and you can check out 2 more videos on the right side of the screen. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next Animal Crossing video.